Yeah, so autoimmune part two, I guess. But before we get rolling into that, oh, we have some fun to do today to start. Cause I appreciate all of you who did a Google review. You guys had so many people had so many nice things to say. I love it. I much appreciate it. So, um, and here's how we're gonna do this. It's kind of, you guys have to trust me, of course, because I have everyone. Let me see. I need to find my list. I just have everyone's name. Uh-oh, now I need to sign in. Hold on, this is gonna take just a second. I have everyone's name next to a number. And who wants to be the one that picks the number? Somebody's got to do it, or I'm going to call on somebody. You just got to pick a number. That's all. The pressure's all on you, though.
4.
So, for what? So,
Four. That's what
oh,
she
you
said.
said four.
She said number four. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, we're gonna go with it. I didn't even have my
Yeah.
list up yet, so I don't even know who it is yet. Number four. Number four. Oh, where's my list? Oh my goodness. I'm trying to log into where I had it. And, I love it, Janine. My goodness. I didn't even have to call on anybody. You just said number four.
That's my
Yeah.
favorite.
All right, number four. Oh, it should it be you have to be present to win?
No.
Michelle.
Ooh,
Michelle
she'll love that.
N. Oh, that's
She needs
awesome.
that. She's actually traveling from Wisconsin, so
Is she in
she should be
Wisconsin now?
on. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I just know, yeah, she's been visiting mom and stuff up there, right?
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's
well,
not.
Michelle, I will reach out to Michelle. I need to make myself a note. That's awesome. She gets a 60-minute massage. I don't know. Does she get massages normally? I guess I don't even know.
Not very often. She needs it. She deserves it. Yes.
Yes, she
Good.
does. She does. There's been a
Yeah.
lot of stress going on, so that's awesome. That's awesome. I would like all of you guys to get a massage, but I mean, you
Yeah.
might just have to go pay for it yourself. Treat yourself. So,
That's right.
okay, well, good, 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 guys. Anything anybody wants to ask questions about? So last week we talked about the autoimmune stuff, kind of laying the roadmap or setting the stage. Did anyone have anything they wanted to bring up or ask before I get rolling into kind of part two, just a little bit more of a deep dive? Anything come up? Okay. All right. Good, good. How many of you guys either you yourself or know someone with an autoimmune condition? Raise your hand.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
I
I
do.
think okay, everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Throw some out there. Like, and again, you don't, if you're not comfortable, feel free. But if it's someone like, just what are some of the things that people you guys know are struggling with?
Arthritis.
Okay, so arthritis. What do you know? What type of arthritis? That's the autoimmune.
Rheumatoid.
Rheumatoid,
Yeah,
okay. Very common. Very, very
that's
common.
what I have.
Say again, Diane.
That's what I have.
Yeah, okay. Rheumatoid
Celiac,
arthritis is a big one.
celiac.
There's psoriatic arthritis is another. Yep, absolutely. Okay, that's pretty common as well. So psoriasis, skin conditions, and then the psoriatic arthritis version. Anything else?
Is celiac? Is
Celiac.
celiac?
Yeah, celiac and a lot of the gut issues, ulcerative colitis and celiac and Crohn's.
Mm.
Yep. So a lot of those that kind of go, I would say, very often go miss or undiagnosed in a lot of people for a long time. Um, which is unfortunate for some people, but yeah, anyway, I won't go down that rabbit hole. But anything else? So a lot of gut issues, and I think you guys all know, obviously, and welcome, Denise. This is your first time on. Welcome, welcome. You guys all know me. I mean, the gut is just so important. So yes, there's a lot of gut autoimmune things, but even last week. So if you weren't here last week or didn't listen to last week, you can go back to part one, and kind of catch up later with the recording. It's in your education library. But preach it over and over and over is one of the reasons a lot of these things are missed or not treated necessarily as effectively as they could be is because the gut, the microbiome, leaky gut syndrome, things like that play heavily in a lot of autoimmune issues, right? So we can kind of make sense of that. So what are some others? Anybody else think of any others that anybody's
Multiple
struggling with?
sclerosis.
Multiple
Mhm.
sclerosis, nervous system type issues. I would agree that some of that kind of stuff is, research is ongoing, but I mean, yeah, the immune system attacking, as we kind of talked about last week, is it really attacking our body? Yes, it is attacking our own bodies, but why is it doing that? And that's kind of the question, is reframing our mindset and like, what are the questions we're asking instead of just trying to treat symptoms, we're trying to get to underlying issues. Um, what others? I had something, oh, big one, huge one that the reason I was asking to see if anybody threw this out there, thyroid conditions.
Hmm.
Okay. So the two most common are Hashimoto's and Graves' disease. Okay, now Hashimoto's, I would say I run across that a lot more than Graves'. Hashimoto's is hypothyroidism, so hypo with an O, which the thyroid is underactive. And then Graves' disease is hyper, right? So the thyroid is like overactive, it's freaking out. Neither one of those is good, but Hashimoto's thyroid issues are super common. Now, here's a cool story for you guys. Because and again, there's story after story after story I could say with autoimmune issues and people getting to a place of healing where things go into remission, or potentially even getting rid of. So I'm not going to say any names, but this person might be listening to the recording because it was awesome. This was just this week or late last week where back when we originally did some blood work on this patient, the primary care med doctors had always just run TSH and T4, because I had some of those past labs and they weren't terrible as far as like where the levels were. But we ran a comprehensive thyroid panel, as I do with almost all of you guys, and they were the two antibodies to the thyroid were sky high, like sky high, higher than I'd seen in a long time. And so that's when antibodies are that high, that's how you diagnose an autoimmune thyroid issue, right? Because the body has built up all of these antibodies, and they're attacking the thyroid gland. So thyroid function was starting to suffer because of that. And sometimes that's the tricky part is it might not happen overnight, right? So it can take a long time. So anyway, long story short is, we've been working on things with her just like I am with all you guys. And I think it's been, gosh, I don't remember how long it's been, 4 or 5 months maybe. And we just redid blood work. And I'm telling you guys, I was so excited when I saw it. And don't quote me on this, I'm trying to remember, but one of the thyroid antibodies has gone down over 50% already. That short of time. That's amazing. Like that is amazing. And the other one had gone down 28% or something like that. So the diligence, the discipline, the things that obviously she's doing, just like all of you guys are, it's gonna pay off. Now, and here's the other part of that though, is oftentimes, and I've said this a lot of times, but with whether it's with autoimmune issues that you guys have, or people, or maybe it's just something else that you're struggling with, and you're just not seeing the results you want to see, be diligent, be patient, because this person isn't necessarily feeling there's some energy improvement, I think, and there's some things, some gut issues that are clearing up, but like nothing like miraculous. But when you look at these labs, if this trend keeps going in the right direction, I mean, it literally is life changing because eventually, if you keep going down that autoimmune thyroid issue, that's going to be not only medications, but it's going to be that's going to affect all sorts of other systems of the body because the thyroid is, and again, I'm just talking about the thyroid as an example, but it bleeds down into so many other systems of the body. So amazing stuff happening with a lot of you guys. And it's one of the other things, the other point in that I want to just drive home today is making sure we're staying on top of retesting. Because if we don't retest, we don't really know, right? Because subjectivity is it's probably one of the worst ways to know how you're actually doing and healing is by just strictly how you're feeling, right? That's a big part of it. Of course, we all want to feel better. We want to function better. But underneath the surface, right? What's the blood work? What are the gut labs? What are these labs showing us that's improving or not improving that we need to tweak and hone in the process? Okay. So that was an amazing story that just happened this week with that lady, that patient, and I'm super excited for her and for a lot of you guys. So because we're seeing good things with a lot of you. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen now and get rolling into this next part. And always takes a second. There we go. Now you should be able to see my screen, right? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Okay, perfect. See if I can blow this up. Okay. So this is something you probably have never heard of before. It's called the process method. It's there's a lot of things when um when I'm looking at you guys' cases, your histories, and also when we start getting in lab work. I mean, there's a lot of investigative work that goes into it. It's not like oftentimes I can't just look at a lab and be like, "Oh, this is what's going on." I mean, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. It takes me a lot of time to really be thorough with you guys' thing. And these are the kind of things that help. So just kind of FYI, the P stands for pattern recognition. Okay, so again, you can think about this for yourself, but also for other people maybe that that need this kind of work. But so instead of labeling autoimmunity, so there's clinicians like myself and in functional medicine that we start mapping recurrent constellations of symptoms. So things like that might get brushed aside, right, by a lot of practitioners, like, oh, your labs look normal, but man, I'm fatigued. I have all these gut issues, joint pain, brain fog, cognitive issues. These are the kind of things that are big clues to upstream imbalances. And they're not just all things that, again, that need to be or should be brushed aside, right? We need to start thinking about these kind of things. And again, in just traditional medicine, I feel like I'm picking on it today, but in traditional medicine, the classic annual physical exam, which is a CBC and a CMP. So complete blood count, usually with differential, and a complete metabolic panel. Those are like, they're not going to show all of, they're not even close to being able to show all of the things that are going on. Okay. So you can look good on paper with those simple labs. And you still feel like crud. Like, why do I not feel normal if they're telling me everything's normal? And again, and then a lot of people, obviously, there are things that aren't normal, which need to be addressed. So the R stands for root cause mapping. So we're looking at deeper level things, right? So again, a lot of you guys know this, like what's the intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut syndrome? Do you have that? How bad is it? Has it been around for a long time? Because in that lab that I do on a lot of you guys, you have chronic markers and acute markers, and so we know really estimated how long it's been going on. Okay, and so the longer something's been going on, of course, the longer it's going to take to heal. So you have to be patient and diligent. Hidden infections, things like parasites, heavy metals, toxic exposures, mitochondrial distress. So the mitochondria are the power plants of our body, of our cells, right? They produce all of our energy, not only energy for us to feel energized, but energy for our systems to be able to function optimally. And so if we have a lot of, for example, oxidative stress, right? If you don't know what that is, there's talks on oxidative stress, but basically, if you're eating poor, if you've been exposed to a lot of, like it says here, toxins, whether that's daily life or maybe at a workplace, like that causes oxidative stress, right? And that's going to affect cellular health. Okay. But then also in above and beyond that is we've talked a lot about this in the past, but emotional stress, psychological stress, circadian stress. Maybe you've never thought of circadian as a stressor, but like, so, because we often hear circadian rhythms, right? Like, so your sleep cycles, your sleep wake cycles, that's a stressor, right? And don't quote me on this, but I was reading something not long ago, where one poor night's sleep, like say you only get 3 or 4 hours of sleep one night or whatever it is, and especially in kids, the younger, the more it's going to affect. One night's sleep actually affects the health of that person on a negative level for weeks at a time, right? So it's not just, oh, I got one bad night of sleep, and so again, having those sleep optimization strategies that a lot of you guys we've gone over or I've given you, trying to make great habits around sleep because sleep is so important. And I think in our culture, we downplay it so much. We downplay it, right? Like, oh, it's sometimes for some people, it's like a badge of honor. Like, oh, yeah, I only get 4 hours of sleep a night and I'm good to go, right? That's not healthy and it's going to catch up to you. It's going to catch up to them, right? O stands for organ and system integration. So whether it's the gut, the liver with detoxification, the immune system, which heavily, heavily, heavily resides in your gut, your endocrine system with all your hormones and glands, and then your nervous system. These are all, and I've said this a million times, they're all interconnected. You cannot separate these systems from one another, right? So, and that's one of the problems that I see every day in modern medicine, as great as it is in so many ways, life-saving in so many ways. We look at the liver and we're just like, oh, here we got to treat the liver, right? But it's like why is the liver becoming an issue? Okay, what's going on in the gut, the immune system, digestion? Like what's the body depleted of with vitamins and minerals? What kind of toxicities are overwhelming the liver that we're not even talking to people about, right? So you guys get the point there. So all interconnected, interwoven systems. And if one system falters, like it says here, like the others have to compensate for that, right? So your bodies, we were designed miraculously. Like our bodies want to achieve and maintain this level of homeostasis, of balance, right? But if one system goes out of whack for whatever reason, the others start to compensate, trying to obtain homeostasis and oftentimes suffer consequences as well. And this is one of the reasons why, and a lot of you can relate to this, is maybe years ago you started out having, gut symptoms. Maybe you started feeling constipated and bloated, blah, 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 whatever it is. And then, oh my gosh, now all of a sudden, years later, months later, years later, now I have, skin issues. My hair's falling out. I start having more joint pain and muscle pain. Is that just because I'm getting older? Or do you think there's more to it than that? I'm a full believer, and there's more to it than that. Obviously, there's a natural aging process. But I think people, again, use that as an excuse, or that's kind of what we've been taught. We've kind of been programmed to think that way, that everything starts breaking down as we get older and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's just false. It's just absolutely false. And an easy example to think about, like when it comes to lifestyle and things, is you guys all probably, we all know someone who's like smoked for years and years and years, right? You put two people that are 55 years old next to each other, and one smoked for 30 years and the other hasn't. I mean, what do you see? What do you see? You can see that in their skin, and just kind of just their body, like externally. So you can imagine what's going on internally, right? So that all of that, those toxins from the poor lifestyle, and smoking's probably not the only thing, the only bad habit. Maybe they eat poorly, they don't exercise, et cetera, et cetera. And that catches up. It catches up, and other systems begin to reap the consequences of that. The C stands for clinical navigation. So, Dr. Grisanti, I've said this before because I pull some stuff from him, including some of the stuff in this presentation, but he calls it the terrain, right? The terrain of our bodies. So, the internal environment, like what's going on internally, we need to stabilize that. We need to modulate the immune load. We need to rebuild tolerance again. And then this is where oftentimes you got to retest to know if you're going in the right steps, right? The right direction. Okay. And then you start building intentionally on the last. E stands for evidence synthesis. So, this is where this day and age, I mean, goodness, we didn't have access to hardly any of these labs that we do even 10, 20 years ago. And it just keeps getting better and better and better. So, the lab data, the genomics, the genetic tests that we might do on some of you guys, and of course, history matters too. That's all, those are all things that we put into kind of trying to come up with what's going on. Strategy development is the one of the S's, and then support and stewardship. So strategies, of course, you guys, a lot of you know this already, but gosh, nutrition is obviously a huge deal. So I want to stop here for a second because I think sometimes I don't think I know sometimes some of us feel, number one, overwhelmed by like supplements. Oh my gosh, I got to take all these things. Yes, right. Sometimes that's needed and necessary in the beginning. The goal is not to have to do that for long periods of time. Okay, but what I do also know that a lot of us get in a trap of is we do and take supplements to help our bodies heal, but then we kind of put nutrition maybe on the back burner, or we don't make it a high priority. What you're fueling your body with is absolutely the most important thing, okay? Above supplements, right? So you can change so many things just with the nutrition and the things that you're putting in your body, right? And then in detoxification, same thing. Like I know I've said it to all of you, but have you taken the action steps to filter your water effectively, to buy, organic produce? Because of all of these toxins that are just in our, oh my gosh, water's poison, tap water's poison. I hope you all know that, and food as well, right? The things that are on the, and if this is new to you, look up the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen, Clean 15, Dirty Dozen. So the Dirty Dozen are the produce items that you need to buy organically. So if maybe that's just like, maybe you've gotten away from that, kind of a wake up call here today. I just wanted to remind you and bring that back up. Stewardship and support. Okay, so again, you guys are all in this program, so obviously you're willing and wanted coaching, some accountability, but a lot of it is on you, right? A lot of it is on you because of course myself and any coach or any person you ever work with can't hold your hand through everything. But if you don't reach out to me and you don't update me and don't ask questions, I can only do so much. So I'd encourage you guys. I'm saying that to encourage you to use that chat area, right? I know a lot of you guys do an awesome job. I think this morning I got 3 or 4 different updates from people just checking in, saying, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what I changed. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what I'm noticing. Those are awesome things. Sometimes I'm just going to be like, bravo, you're doing awesome. That's exactly what you should have done. And sometimes I'm going to have some input for you to make some changes or tweaks or guide you in some way. Okay, so continue to use that offering that I do. So anyway, a couple tangents there, but we kind of went over this last week, where traditional medicine is more of a downstream kind of thinking. So you look at symptoms and we focus on symptoms, right? And we focus on suppressing symptoms such as inflammation. But the tissues are already inflamed, right? So yeah, we can suppress and we can improve inflammation, say with medications. But again, think logically here. What are we actually doing? Are we actually treating what caused that inflammation in the first place? Okay, that's I think it's obvious to all of you guys in here, sitting in here, because you're here. But a lot of people don't think that way. It's just like, oh, I have and I'll use some really generic, easy things, but oh, I have, tension headaches or migraines 3 times a week, so I just pop my pills. Like that's not getting to the root causes. Like, why are those migraines? Why are those tension headaches happening? Maybe it's a physical thing. Like, oh, and I hope you guys all downloaded the document that I sent out last week, the headache and neck pain no more document, which is just a template for you guys to start following for stretches and exercises and things to do at home. Because some tension headaches, people that suffer with them all the time, it's because of postural distortions, weaknesses, imbalances. So, pop an ibuprofen, sure, yeah, it numbs the headache for a lot of people. But man, not only are you not treating the root cause, but you're damaging your kidneys and your liver in the meantime, right? So that's just again a simple example that we can get much more complex if we talk about organ systems. But the upstream first model, which is functional medicine, we're trying to figure out what your cells are doing. Okay, so the mitochondrial signaling, the energy production and stress responses there. You got a lot of you know about methylation and detoxification. If you have no idea what methylation is, I'm not going to go into it today. But a lot of us have methylation genetic mutations, including myself. If you've heard of MTHFR, okay, that's what I'm talking about. And that's big time, big time, big time in how the body activates certain vitamins like B vitamins, B12, B9, B6. But also, it's huge in how the body processes and eliminates toxins. Okay, so there's a big thing, big gap there as far as like detoxification. So we need to support if you have an MTHFR genetic mutation or deletion, because you can actually have deletions and mutations. I have a little of both. You have to support that. Okay, so that's kind of the scenario where, yes, nutrition and food you really need to pay attention to. But when we figure out someone has an MTHFR genetic mutation, for example, this is just one example, we're going to need to support that with methylated B vitamin and some different supplements, probably forever. Okay, so that's kind of like going to be your foundation. Okay, neuroendocrine rhythms, so stress hormone balances, circadian patterns, that sleep wake cycle, like I said. Um, hormone. So the reason it's called neuroendocrine rhythm is because your nervous system is intertwined, obviously, just like all systems, but literally controls so much and so many of the systems of your body. So the endocrine system, which is your hormonal system, your glandular system, if your hormones are out of whack and you're like, oh my goodness, like you got to check your stress. Okay. And I know I say that it's easy to say, it's harder to do, but have you actually implemented stress mitigation strategies in your life? Right. And, if you haven't, I have to keep encouraging you guys to do that. So, what do I mean by that? I love micro breaks, pause breaks through your day, breath work, belly breathing, box breathing, journaling works for some people. Just there's so many things that you can do to reset your stress response in your body. If you have a stressful 9 to 5 job, then you're really going to have to stay on top of this. You really are going to have to stay on top of this because it's I can't say, well, just go find a new job. All right, that's not possible for a lot of us in what we do. So you really have to start making and building these new habits, right? Okay. So, and speaking of habits, for anybody who's new in your education library, or maybe you missed these calls, gosh, I did a whole series, I think it was earlier this summer, this last spring or summer, on habit formation. Like, how do you go about that? Like, people fail they quit with new habits because they go about it wrong, right? So, one of the best resources I feel like is a book called Atomic Habits. If you've never read it or listen to it on audiobook, Atomic Habits. The author's name is James Clear, and it's chock full of just good strategies, right? So how you can start implementing new habits such as stress response issues in your life and make them sustainable, right? That's what it's all about, is making things sustainable. Nutrient sufficiency. So again, obviously micronutrient status that supports our immune system, which of course the erratic immune system is what leads to autoimmunity, a lot of it, right? So we have to have the right nutrients in order for things to work properly. And then of course, this one right here is huge. And I don't know if there's ever going to be like the research is funny, guys, because I think most of you guys probably know like research. Everybody's like, well, where's the research? Where's the research? Do you guys realize how hard it is to research things? Like, not only does it cost money, somebody has to pay for it, millions and millions of dollars just to publish one paper, one study. But it's just almost impossible to test and study certain things. But what we do know from the research that is out there is this gut barrier integrity. Okay, so the gut lining, right? So AKA, if there's issues, it turns into what's called leaky gut syndrome. This is a huge issue. Okay, so and I know a lot of you guys, we've talked about this because you have some form of leaky gut syndrome. And I've told you all, if you do, that's like a high priority. It's a high priority. No matter what's going on in your health, that is a high priority. And hardly anybody's looking at this. And I mean, I even know functional medicine practitioners who they don't run that lab very often. And I don't understand it. They must have a reason. But the gut is our first line of defense. Okay, it kills things that come in that aren't supposed to be there via stomach acid and via all the things that are going on in our gut, right? So it's our first, so it kills bacteria and funguses and parasites and all the things. So and then of course digestion happens. So if we have leaky gut, things are going into our bloodstream from our gut. What's in our gut, y'all? Like toxins and bad things, like I just said, right? So a lot of people who have leaky gut syndrome also don't have adequate stomach acid levels. Okay, so that acid is there to kill things that aren't supposed to be there and to help digest food. And then even with food particles, like you wonder where food allergies come from and food sensitivities and just I mean I could go on and on and on, but when undigested or partially digested food particles get through into our bloodstream, your immune system thinks that is a foreign invader, right? So that's an autoimmune response right then and there. By that, I mean your body's going to build up antibodies to these things, which let's just say it's a food particle. It's part of it's gluten or whatever. It could be anything really. This is why new food sensitivities are just crazy. People are sensitive and reactive to like healthy foods and just all sorts of stuff because that's probably what's been able to leak through, and your body's recognized it as a foreign invader, built up antibodies, and now every time you have it, it attacks, it attacks, it attacks. And it leads to symptoms, skin issues, joint pain, inflammation, all the things, right? Autoimmunity. What time is it? 104. A couple more minutes. Then we'll wind down. Maybe some people have questions today. I hope so. I like when you guys have questions. It's always fun. So why upstream works first? So the core principle is when the root control systems are repaired, the immune response often calms naturally. Tolerance is rebuilt without the collateral damage of blanket immune suppression. Okay, so what the heck does that mean? We talked about this last week where if you have an autoimmune condition, medicine will say we need to suppress your immune system. So that's what immune suppressor drugs are for, right? But and again, that might be needed short term, but that's the key. Like asking questions and like, okay, how long do I need to do this, or what do I need to do to get my body to a point where I don't need these immune suppression medications? Because if you have to take those, you're obviously going to be more susceptible, right, to a lot of other things. So in the tolerance and the resilience of your body is not going to be there. Okay, but again, I'm a full believer in, our bodies are miraculously designed and able to heal themselves. We just have to figure out the pieces to the puzzle and the things to do to enable them, to give them the opportunity to heal. Right? Make sense? I think a lot of you understand that. So, kind of repeating from last week, what does the common conventional kind of healthcare system ask? It says, how can we stop the immune attack? Okay, and then we need to like stop it, suppress it. Oh, there, your symptoms are either gone or in remission or whatever, better than they were. Because a lot of times it's not gone, it's just improved. Okay, it makes life more tolerable for sure, functional. But would it make more sense to ask, why does the immune system still believe the body is under attack? Like what's going on inside that our immune system, which is supposed to be working for us, is working against us, right? That's the question that needs to be asked. And that's the question I'm asking. And that's the question I know a lot of you guys are asking after you've started all this work. Okay, the old paradigm is more crisis management, which again, crisis management is what I've always termed the stage 4 alarm fires, and the stage 3 alarm fires. I have so many friends that are in the fire department here in Lincoln, and it's like we talk about this. I've told this story before, so this will be a review for some of you. But like I talk to these buddies of mine, and it's like, oh my gosh, like they're there to help people. They have this passion for helping, and they're firefighters and EMTs. And that's what they were trained and meant to do, was to save lives, right? Like the blazing fires, to put their lives on the line and go in and put it out and save people. Same thing if there's car accidents or medical emergencies. But what drains them the most in their jobs is the stage 1 and 2 alarm fires, or the people that are constantly calling for on calls that shouldn't be calling. That for a lot of reasons, but that's what stresses them out the most. So think about that. That analogy I've always kind of related to how our bodies work. Like if we have a stage 4 fire going on, man, we need medicine. We need an antibiotic. We need a steroid. We need a surgery. Whatever it is. Like that's the amazing thing about the beauty of our healthcare system, and the luxury we have, how we're all blessed in that way because we have access to that. Okay, but what about these stage 1 and stage 2 that are burning out my buddies on the fire department? It burns them out. Constant calls that's not their job. They shouldn't be going on, right? That's the chronic low grade inflammation that's going on in our body. That's the stage 1 and 2 fires, right? Does that make sense to everybody? I don't know if that analogy hits with anybody but me, but it's like that's the thing. That's the lifestyle medicine. Like that's are you getting proper sleep? Stage 1 fire if you're not. Stage 2, right? Are you eating the right food? Are you filtering your water? Are you living cleanly with the toxins in your environment? These are all of the things that these 1 and 2 alarm fires start building up and accumulate over time. And then boom, one day we have an autoimmune condition. Does that make sense? Hope so. Okay. So again, I've kind of said a lot of this already, but medications suppress symptoms. They don't treat root causes. So you just have to think about that. And obviously there's always hope for remission. The new paradigm is restoration, right? We want to restore that healing potential in our bodies, which is there. It's there. And I don't really care who you are, how old you are, how poor of health. Yeah, if you're older and in really poor health, it's going to take longer than someone who's a teenager and live and starts changing their lifestyle, right? Because there's just some differences there. But if we can decode the root cause before the symptoms escalate too far, we can really have a lot of success. So repairing that terrain so inflammation resolves naturally, because chronic inflammation can resolve. It does resolve. We see it all the time. In the thyroid story I just told you guys a while ago to start this talk, like those antibodies to that lady's thyroid are dropping drastically, right? Drastically, which is amazing. And that's an inflammatory kind of process. Okay. We want to view autoimmunity as recoverable harmony. Maybe that sounds weird to you, but obviously I think it's just there's hope that this is solvable. So Dr. Ron Grisanti, who I've quoted many times, I just like this quote. He says, when we correct the terrain instead of suppressing the signal, the body remembers how to heal, and the immune system remembers what peace feels like. I don't know. I just really like that because I'm a full believer in, the whole whatever you want to call it, natural healing ability that we have. Some people would call it innate intelligence. Like this, if you believe in God, this God-given intelligence, like our bodies, our systems are intelligent by design, right? And so if we give them the right tools, they can heal, right? So, okay. I guess this is the summary. I was going to stop, but the summary must be the last slide. Your immune system is not your enemy. It's trying to communicate that something in your internal environment feels unsafe or is unwell. Traditional medicine focuses on suppression downstream after damage has occurred. Okay, so like we've talked about over and over, conventional care has five critical failures. Late detection, oftentimes because not the right lab work, not the right histories, not the right things are being looked at, oftentimes. Suppression over regulation. Okay, so like I said, we may need to suppress for a time, but what are we doing to actually regulate and heal? And then missing the terrain, like what's actually going on in the full system. Like when's the last time anybody went to a specialist, okay, for an autoimmune and they're looking at the entire picture? They're called specialists for a reason. It doesn't happen very often. Now, it does. I do know some really great doctors out there that are specialists that do that. It's very rare though. Okay, we tend to focus on one area or one organ or one gland or whatever it is, and that's what we're treating, and we're not looking at the whole terrain, the whole picture. And then the normal lab illusions, that's just like I said earlier, like the labs that oftentimes are run are great labs. I run those labs, but they're just kind of a snippet of what's actually going on. The process method that we just went over transforms complexity into clarity through those organized steps, which again, that's just like the process of functional medicine. So upstream thinking um, repairs root regulars like cellular health, like the mitochondria, like the gut, the detox pathways, and stress responses. But you guys have to put in the work, obviously. It's all isn't stuff that just happens on its own. But when we restore the terrain, when we do these things, when we put these things into practice, the immune system naturally stands down with forced suppression. So that's pretty cool. So that'll do it for this week. So I'll open it up like I always do. If you guys have questions, anybody have anything or something that didn't make sense?
So are we born with autoimmune, or is it just all the like environmental stressors
Are we
that
born with what?
like the autoimmune disease? Like,
Well, there's the only way you're born with something like that, or like the predisposition, I would say, would be
yeah.
genetic codes, right? Because genetics do play into some things for sure.
Okay.
But I've said this before too, though, and it's kind of like the MTHFR, like that can be a genetic variant that I got from my parents, right? But
Mhm.
that's not the end all be all. I've told you guys this before. I've run very thorough genetic panels on myself. I think I even showed you guys some of them one time. Like on paper, I'm a mess. I should be a mess. I should be an absolute mess. I should be. I mean, I don't even know. Like, because again, there's family history of cardiovascular stuff, strokes, heart attacks, all the things, high blood pressure. I got none of it. I'm 42. But like, oh my goodness, like there's so many things you can do to change genetics.
Yeah. There.
But other than that, yeah, it's the lifestyle, it's the toxicities, it's all of these other underlying things over time that often lead to the autoimmunity.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Well, how what I say. Whenever people don't have questions, it's just I just do that good of covering the material that I mean, shoot, nobody even has any questions. It all made sense, and if it did, that's awesome. If you have questions and you don't want to, maybe it's something personal and you don't want to say it in front of everybody, chat message me. We can discuss anything, everything. So last chance, going one, going twice. Man, 1:15 on the dot. We did good today, y'all. Well, so have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the fall weather or wherever you're at, because I know we got some out-of-staters on the call today. Now,
Yes, you
what's it
do.
like up there?
It is cold. It's 43 today.
I
Most of
mean,
the leaves are.
it's been pretty chilly, the 40s and 50s in Lincoln.
Has it really?
Yeah, Nebraska has been chilly this last week.
I'm
So, yeah,
impressed.
yeah,
I
yeah.
expected warmer there.
Well, we hope it warms. I hope it warms up a little. 70s are good. I would love the
I love
70s more
70s.
steady, like instead of just a couple days. So, all right, y'all, have a great rest of your week into your weekend, and I'll chat with y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.